You've probably heard the story of the woman healed by touching Jesus' garment 100 times. It's one of those classic accounts of faith. But what if I told you that a single, almost universally overlooked detail changes everything? I mean, it reframes the entire miracle. We're going to take a much closer look.
Seriously, what if a single word in the original Greek text unlocks a level of meaning we've mostly been missing for the last 2,000 years? This isn't just about a minor translation tweak. This is about uncovering the profound theological bombshell the gospel writers were dropping.
So, you know the story, right? It's in 3 of the Gospels. There's a woman, she's been suffering for 12 long years, and she's desperate. She thinks, if I can just touch his clothes, I'll be healed. And she does, and she is. It's an incredible moment of personal faith. But the specific part of the clothing she touches, well, that's the key to a much, much bigger story.
Okay, so the key that unlocks this whole thing is a single Greek word. And it's a word that the gospel writers chose very, very deliberately. The problem is, most of our English translations kind of flatten it out. And in doing so, we miss the punch.
The word is kraspedon. Now, if you look in most Bibles, it'll say hem, or edge, or fringe of his garment. And look, in everyday Greek, that's not wrong. But, and this is a huge but, in a Jewish context, for a first-century reader who grew up with the Torah, kraspedon was the specific technical term for the covenant tassels, the tzitzit, that God commanded the people of Israel to wear.
And this was no accident. The gospel writers use this word kraspedon over and over, not just here, but in other places too. They are pointing at something. They're basically holding up a giant neon sign. The woman wasn't just grabbing a random piece of fabric. She was reaching for a powerful symbol of who Jesus was and what he was doing.
So to really get why this one word is such a game changer, we have to understand what these tassels, these tzitzits, actually meant. They were not just decoration, not even close.
First off, this wasn't a fashion trend. This was a direct command straight from the Torah, from the books of Numbers and Deuteronomy. They were to be worn on the 4 corners of a garment, and they were supposed to be a constant, visible sign of what it meant to belong to God's covenant people.
Their purpose was really threefold. First, they were a reminder. You'd see them, and you'd remember to live by God's commands. Second, they were an identity marker. They publicly marked you as part of Israel. And third, they were a symbolic boundary, a way of marking the difference between a life lived inside the covenant and the world outside.
Okay, so let's plug that back into the story. The woman is not just grabbing a random hem. She is intentionally, purposefully reaching for the visible sign of Jesus' perfect obedience and covenant faithfulness. Her faith isn't in some magic piece of cloth. It's in the God whose covenant is perfectly embodied by this man. But wait, it gets even deeper.
This is where my mind just gets blown every time. The symbol of these tassels connects directly to some of the most powerful prophecies about the coming Messiah.
The prophet Malachi, centuries earlier, promised that a son of righteousness would one day rise with healing in its wings. This was a promise Israel was clinging to. But what on earth does that have to do with tassels on a robe?
Well, here is the stunning connection. The Hebrew word for wing in that prophecy is kanaf. But kanaf is the exact same word used in the Torah for the corners of the garment, the very place where the tassels were attached. So the corner of your garment was its wing.
Are you seeing this? It's like this beautiful, divine wordplay. The woman reaches for the kraspedon, the tassels, which are on the kanaf, the corners or wings of Jesus' garment. She is, in the most literal way possible, laying hold of the ancient prophetic promise of healing in his wings. It's absolutely incredible. But this prophetic fulfillment isn't the only radical thing happening here. There's also a complete reversal of the purity laws that would have absolutely shocked anyone watching in the first century.
Okay, so according to the law in Leviticus, this woman's condition made her ritually unclean. And the rule was that impurity was contagious. Anything she touched, anyone she touched, would also become unclean. So by all rights, when she touched Jesus, he should have become unclean. But the exact opposite happens. His holiness is so powerful, so active, that it flows out of him and cleanses her.
This changes everything. Jesus isn't just a holy guy trying to avoid getting dirty. He is the source of holiness. Think of him as a walking, talking, mobile version of the temple's Holy of Holies. His holiness doesn't need to be protected behind a curtain. It goes on the offensive to heal and reclaim and restore.
Now let's zoom the camera out one last time, because this deeply personal healing is actually a snapshot of something cosmic. This is a battle scene.
In the worldview of the biblical authors, the world isn't a neutral place. It's a contested space. It's God's good creation, but it's being reclaimed from hostile spiritual powers. And in this view, death isn't just a biological event, it's a rival kingdom, a hostile power that holds people captive.
For 12 years, this woman's suffering was a constant, draining touch from the dominion of death. So when she reaches out to Jesus, it wasn't just a healing. It was a rescue mission, an extraction from enemy territory.
This single miracle is a skirmish in a cosmic war. It's a decisive victory, a sign that the true king has shown up on the battlefield to start pushing back the borders of Death's kingdom and reclaiming his territory. Every healing is a demonstration that God's reign is breaking into our world.
And this is exactly why Jesus doesn't let her just slip away into the crowd. He stops everything, finds her, and publicly calls her daughter, welcoming her back into the community. This isn't just him being nice. It is a public declaration of victory. The God of Israel is here, and he is reversing the curse of death and restoring his people.
So we went from a simple hem to a symbol of the covenant, a fulfilled prophecy, a reversal of cosmic laws, and a victory over the kingdom of death. All of that packed into a single word. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this much meaning is hiding just below the surface in one story, what other incredible treasures are we missing in the text we thought we knew so well?